Hey everyone, it's Mike Ball from WordPress.com. Today we're just going to talk about your website homepage. So we're not going to dive into the editor. We're not going to talk about how to do all these different things. We're just going to kind of talk about the content you might want on your homepage. Your homepage is usually your first impression for whoever's looking you up or who discovered your site, whatever the case is. Maybe they got a link from somewhere else. Maybe they found it on social. Maybe they just heard about it from a friend, whatever the case. So they usually put in your domain in the browser, or they find a link or whatever, and they end up here. So your homepage should be a good summary of who you are, not you as a person, but your site, what you're about, and generally what you have to offer if you're a business or a service or a creator of some sort and you're wanting to exchange at some level. So the two examples I have up that I usually switch between are the band site and then this Pengo Life site, which is kind of awareness blog type thing. So you can see on the band site, and I usually use these for videos, so sometimes I've played around with them a little bit too much, but the goal for a musician or an artist, right, is to get their artwork or discovered and kind of consumed in some level. So I made it a priority to put our music right on the homepage. So we have our album cover, we have our player with our songs so somebody can listen right there, and we have our band name. To me, that's probably the most important thing I want anybody who actually goes to our website to find. We're not trying to book shows, we're not doing anything else. It's a fun project just to get our music heard. If you look at our navigation, there's only a couple options here, right? Like they can come back to home if they need to. I'm going to send them right to Spotify so they can listen to our music. They can learn a little bit about the band, or they can find lyrics for the songs that are all about Star Wars, for just the super nerdy people who like to do that. So usually this section, when you see right when you open the website, is called above the fold, meaning this is what people see without having to scroll at all. This section should generally have your most important information, including your navigation, which is a preview of what exists on your site, your name or brand or logo or whatever, who you are, the thing that you want them to remember, and then the most important things you would want the user to take away from getting here, whether it's listening to music, viewing your art, understanding what you do, and so on. So as you scroll down, you think about users and whether or not they did that first thing, and maybe they listened to it and they liked it, maybe they didn't listen to it at all. What do I want them to see next? So next is just kind of news for us. If you write a lot of posts and you have a lot of information coming out, that query block kind of keeps that stream in the homepage relevant and interesting. So news for us has everything from blog posts about Star Wars to new songs and whatever else ends up being here, including lyrics. We've also added things like our Instagram posts and things in here. But at that point on the homepage, that's just extra information for people who are still kind of poking around. Now, if we take a different site, for example, like the Pengo Life one that's sometimes used, right? So the goal of this site would be to raise awareness of pangolins, to gather kind of support, stop trafficking, those types of things. So this is basically a blog to teach about those types of things with some different information around there. So this learn more button right here is probably going to take them to the single page with the facts that we want them to know. You'd put more copy in here, right? You're going to use a compelling image, but in terms of above the fold, this kind of strategy right here, you get navigation for what's on the site, straightforward, what is this site about? And if they want to learn more specifically about that, they can jump to that content directly. If they're just curious in general, we've kind of designed this so that they can get a preview of what the next section holds. So if you look here, they can kind of see what's coming up and at the very least say, like, wait, I want to see more pictures. I don't understand what these animals are. Then they can start getting a sense for what these animals are, why they should care about the other stuff that we're talking about too. Like I said, I've been playing around with this site in terms of, oh, the pangolin kind of looks like an armadillo. What's the difference? I dropped this big kind of image compare tool with these different images from Openverse in here that I thought was pretty cool. And I just kind of play with different blocks while I'm here. This is a different version of that same query block that's going to roll out the posts that are on here. And I did a big image focus because they're cute animals and they're unique animals and fun to look at. So every site can have a totally different homepage. If you're working on just a portfolio site or you just want like a personal business card style site, you can just do a single homepage with links on it. If you have a business where you're selling goods, you're going to want to showcase your products on that homepage. Think about what your goal is and what you want people to know and take away from your site, and that's what you should put on that homepage. The other information can kind of be linked and directed in different sections of your site.